The sky above New York was clear and blue when the alien ships arrived. No warning, no signal, just silence, then light. They came in silence, smooth, dark ships that hovered without sound. They blocked the sun for some people, cast strange shadows on others. The world watched in awe and fear as the vessels formed a perfect triangle over the city. One ship was larger than the rest, like a mother watching her children. It wasn't the first time Earth had seen strange things in the sky. But this was real. Not a hoax, not a dream. Ships from another world right above them. People stopped what they were doing. Phones recorded. Cameras clicked. Crowds gathered in the streets. Some cheered. Others cried. Children pointed up with wide eyes and open mouths. Governments scrambled. Military bases went on high alert. Fighters took to the skies. Missiles were armed. Leaders called meetings. Scientists tried to understand. And then the voice came. It was not loud. It did not boom from the sky. It entered minds, soft, calm, clear. We come in peace. That was all. Just those 3 words. But they echoed in every language spoken on Earth. Everyone heard them, no matter where they stood. Some believed. Some didn't. But one thing was certain. The aliens were here. A meeting in the dark. Inside a large tent near Central Park, a small group of humans sat around a round table. Flags of many nations hung behind them. They were diplomats, scientists, and soldiers, chosen to speak for Earth. At the center of the table sat Ethan Cole. He was not a politician. He used to be a soldier, but now he worked for the UN as a security advisor. His job was to keep people safe during talks like this. He looked tired. He hadn't slept much in the last few days. Across from him sat Dr. Lila Grant, a linguist who had spent her life studying languages, even ones that didn't exist yet. She was excited and nervous. This was the moment she had dreamed of. Beside her was General Marcus Reed, a tall man with a deep voice and sharp eyes. He didn't trust the aliens, not one bit. They want to talk, Ethan said, looking around the table. We have to respond. Talk? Marcus grunted. Or test us? Lila shook her head. Their message was peaceful. We should give them a chance. And if they're lying? Marcus asked. Then we'll know soon enough, Ethan replied. There was a pause. Then a bright light filled the tent. Everyone shielded their eyes. When the light faded, they were no longer in the tent. They stood in a large room made of metal that shimmered like water. The floor was smooth. The walls were curved. There was no ceiling, just stars above, and standing before them were the aliens. They were tall, taller than any human. Their skin was pale blue, almost silver. Their eyes were large and black. They moved with grace, like dancers. One stepped forward. It tilted its head. Welcome. The word came into their minds again. Ethan stepped forward. He kept his hands at his sides, showing he meant no harm. We are the leaders of Earth, he said. We want to talk. The alien studied him. Then it spoke. Your weapons amuse us. There was a pause. What do you mean? Lila asked. The alien raised a hand. A screen appeared in the air. It showed images. Earth's missiles being launched. Jets flying toward the alien ships. Lasers firing. Then the missiles exploded mid-air. Jets turned back. Lasers blinked out. The alien turned to them. You cannot hurt us. Marcus stepped forward, anger in his eyes. Don't be so sure. The alien looked at him. Your strength is weak. Your technology is old. Your species is not ready. Ethan felt his stomach tighten. These beings weren't just here to visit. They were judging humanity. And they didn't think much of laughter that cut deep. Suddenly, the aliens began to move. Not in attack, but in joy. They laughed. Not with sound, but with thought. It rolled through the room like waves. Laughter, mockery, Disbelief. You think you can fight us? You think we came to war? You are like insects. Ethan felt his face burn. He clenched his fists. They're making fun of us, Marcus growled. They're testing us, Lila whispered. Ethan looked around. He saw the truth in their eyes. The aliens truly believed they were better, smarter, stronger, and maybe they were. But Ethan also saw something else. They were arrogant. They didn't see humans as a threat, only as a joke, and sometimes the joke was on the joker. Back to Earth. The next moment they were back in the tent. No light, no stars, just the smell of canvas and sweat. Silence filled the room. Then Marcus slammed his fist on the table. They think they're gods, he said, but they don't know what we're capable of. Ethan sat down slowly. They underestimated us, he said. Yes, Lila agreed. They didn't expect us to be here. Talking, thinking. They think we're primitive, Ethan added, because we use missiles and guns. They don't understand, Lila said, that we learn fast. Marcus nodded. Then let's show them. Ethan looked at both of them. We need to go back to the drawing board, he said. If they think we're weak, we let them believe it. And while they laugh, Lila smiled. We prepare. Ethan stood up. We play along. Let them think we're helpless. Let them think we're afraid. And when they least expect it, Marcus finished, we hit them where it hurts. Behind closed doors. In a secret room beneath the Pentagon, a group of scientists and military leaders met. On the screen, footage played of the alien ships. Data scrolled beside it. This changes everything, said Swikinod's commander Helen Rowe, a woman known for her calm mind and sharp decisions. They're stronger than we thought, said Vrydar. Dr. Alan Pike, the head of Project Silent Eye, a top-secret program designed to protect Earth from space threats. But they made a mistake, Helen said. They showed their hand too early. Alan nodded. They think we can't fight, so they didn't hide their tech. Helen looked at the data. Then, we study them, learn how they work, find their weaknesses. Alan smiled. And when the time comes, we strike, Helen said. The plan begins. Days passed. The aliens stayed in orbit. They sent more messages, peaceful ones. They offered knowledge, technology, help. Human leaders pretended to listen, to negotiate. But behind the scenes, the plan grew. Project Silent Eye became active. Satellites shifted orbits. Drones powered up. Weapon systems ran tests. Mia Daniels, a young engineer working on the project, stared at her screen. They don't know what's coming, she whispered. Her friend, Jake Torres, a hacker and AI specialist, grinned. They laughed at our aim, he said, but they never noticed the real target. Maya looked up. What was the real target? Jake leaned closer. Not their ships. Then what? He pointed at the screen. Their pride. Conclusion of Part 1. The aliens laughed at humanity's weapons. They mocked their efforts. They believed Earth was weak, but they didn't know the truth. Humans had been preparing for years, decades. While the Virex Collective watched Earth's missiles fall short and lasers blink out, they missed the bigger picture. They didn't see the satellites moving into place, the code being rewritten, the drones waking up. They didn't realize that Earth's aim had never been on them. It had always been on victory, and soon, the joke would be on them. The Virex ship still floated above Earth like silent watchers. They did not attack. They did not leave. They simply waited. Back on the ground, the world tried to return to normal. People went back to work. Kids went to school. Cities buzzed with life again. But behind closed doors, something else was happening. In hidden labs, underground bases, and quiet military offices, humans were preparing, not for peace, for war. The eyes in the sky. High above Earth, satellites spun slowly. in orbit. Most looked like normal space junk, old tech left floating by past missions. But these were not normal. They were part of Project Silent Eye, a secret network built over decades. Officially, they were weather and communications satellites. Unofficially, they watched everything. From their high orbits, these satellites scanned for movement in space. They tracked heat signatures, energy spikes, and strange signals, and now they were watching the Virex. Inside a small control room beneath a mountain in Colorado, a team of engineers and scientists worked around the clock. At the center of it all was Mia Daniels. She was young, but smart. She had spent years working on AI systems that could run satellites without human help. Now those systems were her eyes. "Something's off," she said one night, staring at a screen filled with data. Beside her, Jake Torres, a hacker who once got kicked out of college for breaking into NASA's servers, leaned closer. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Look here." Mia pointed at a line of numbers. "These readings don't match anything we've seen before." Jake frowned. "You think it's weapons?" "Maybe," Mia said. "Or maybe my probes." She pulled up more data. The satellites had picked up small objects moving near the Virex ships. They were fast, small, hard to see. "They're sending them down," she whispered. "Down where?" Jake asked. "To Earth." A silent invasion. Above the clouds, the probes moved. They were not big, not loud. They slipped through the atmosphere like shadows. No one saw them land. No one heard them touch down. They buried themselves in forests, deserts, oceans, cities, hidden in places no one would look. Their job was simple: scan, watch, learn. They mapped roads, studied buildings, measured population centers, recorded voices, collected data on human behavior, biology, and technology. They were not weapons. Yet, inside the Virex command ship, the aliens reviewed what they had learned. "They are primitive," one said. "But clever," another added. "They hide things well. Still, they cannot stop us." They believed they had time. That Earth would never see the danger until it was too late. They were wrong. The message that changed everything. Late one night, Mia sat alone in the control room. Her coffee had gone cold. Her eyes burned from lack of sleep. But she didn't. Cared tight on the screen in front of her, a message blinked. It was from one of the satellites. "Unusual activity detected. Unknown signal. Source Virex vessel." Mia leaned forward. She ran a trace. The signal was bouncing between the Virex ships and something below. She followed it. Then she saw it. One of the probes had sent a message back. Not just any message, a full report. It listed Earth's major cities, military bases, nuclear launch sites, population hubs, weaknesses. Mia felt her stomach drop. "They're planning something," she whispered. She hit a button and called Jake. "Get down here. Now." 5 minutes later, he walked in, still pulling on his jacket. "What's going on?" he asked. Mia turned the screen toward him. "Read this." He read. His face changed. "This isn't just spying," he said. "This is targeting." Mia nodded. "They're getting ready." Jake sat down hard. "We need to tell someone." "Already on it," Mia said. She pressed another button. Across the country, red lights began flashing in secure rooms. Phones rang. In secret offices, people woke up. The game had changed. Operation Trojan Sky. Deep inside the Pentagon, a meeting was already underway. Commander Helen Rowe sat at the head of the table. Around her were generals, scientists, and diplomats. "We knew this might happen," she said. "Now it's real." Dr. Sutter, Alan Pike, stood up. He held a tablet showing the data Mia had found. "The Virex are gathering intel," he said. "They're mapping our weak spots." General Marcus Reed leaned forward. "They think they can take us by surprise." "They're wrong," Helen said. She clicked a button. A new image appeared on the screen. It showed Earth surrounded by hundreds of tiny dots. "These are our assets," she said. "Satellites, drones, defense systems, all placed over the last 20 years. Everyone stared. "You mean?" Alan began. "Yes," Helen said. "We've been planning for this since the first alien signal was ever picked up." She looked around the room. "Meet Operation Trojan Sky. Atur." The plan unfolds. The idea was simple. Let the Virex believe they were winning. Let them think they were in control. Let them laugh. Because while they were busy scanning Earth, Earth was scanning them. Every move the Virex made was being recorded. Every signal was being studied. Every weakness was being noted, and every satellite, drone, and weapon system was being prepared. "We don't fight fair," Helen said. "We fight smart." The plan had two parts. First, keep the Virex distracted. Let them believe Earth was still trying to negotiate peace. Second, use the time to build a counterstrike unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Alan spoke next. "We've upgraded our defenses," he said. "Our AI systems can track and respond faster than any human." He clicked again. The screen showed how Earth satellites could detect incoming attacks and shoot them down before they even reached the surface. "But that's just the start," he said. Jake's voice came over the speaker. "We also have sleeper tech." He explained how Earth had placed hidden machines in orbit, ones that looked like trash but were really weapons waiting to be used. "They won't see them coming," he said. "And when we activate them," Mia added, "the Virex will wish they never came here." Ethan steps. Meanwhile, in New York, Ethan Cole met with the Virex again. They spoke in the same way as before, thoughts instead of words. "Your leaders delay talks," one alien said. "Why?" "Do you fear us?" Ethan smiled. "Not at all," he said. "We just want to make sure we understand each other." The alien tilted its head. "You are slow." Ethan shrugged. "Some of us prefer to think before we act." He paused. "Besides, we respect your power. We know we can't beat you in a direct fight." The alien seemed pleased. "Wisdom. Good." As the meeting ended, Ethan walked away with a calm face. But inside, he was burning. They had no idea what was coming. Behind enemy lines. Back in Colorado, Mia and Jake worked non-stop. They fed the Virex data into Earth systems. They learned how the aliens moved, how they communicated, how they powered their ships. It wasn't easy. The Virex used strange math, weird code, and energy sources humans barely understood, but they kept at it. "We're close," Jake said one night, rubbing his eyes. "I can feel it." "To what?" Mia asked. "To understanding how they work," he said. "Once we do, we can break them." Mia looked at him. "You mean hack them?" Jake grinned. "Better than that, I mean shut them down. Turn their own tech against them." Mia raised an eyebrow. "That's crazy." Jake nodded. "I know, but it'll work." A dangerous move. Helen and Marcus met in a quiet office. "We're running out of time," Marcus said. "I know," Helen replied, "but we need to wait." "For what?" "For the right moment." Marcus shook his head. "If we wait too long, they'll strike first." Helen looked at him. "Then we give them something else to worry about." She handed him a folder. Inside was a plan. "What's this?" he asked. "A distraction," she said. "Something to make the Virex think we're scared, something to make them lower their guard." Marcus read through it. Then he smiled. This could work. Conclusion of Part 2. The Virex thought they had the upper hand. They believed Earth was weak, slow, easy to fool, but they were the ones being played. While they sent probes and gathered data, Earth was building a response. Satellites were waking up. Drones were powering on. Hackers were learning alien code, and plans were falling into place. The Virex had come to Earth thinking they would win. They hadn't counted on one thing. Humans were not just fighters, they were thinkers. And sometimes the smartest move was to let the enemy think they had already won, only to show them too late that the real battle had only just begun. The Virex ship still floated above Earth like dark clouds waiting to storm. They thought they were winning. They believed Earth was scared. They laughed at humanity's weak weapons. But what they didn't know? Earth had already won. A surprise attack. It started with silence. No alarms, no sirens, no warning shots, just quiet. Then, without any signal, Earth's satellites came alive. Hidden for years as old space junk, these machines had been waiting. Now, they moved. From high orbit, they launched their first strike. Not on people, not on cities, but on the Virex fleet. Tiny drones, no bigger than a suitcase, flew silently through space. They carried one weapon: EMPs, electromagnetic pulses that could knock out electronics in an instant. One by one, the Virex ships began to flicker. Lights dimmed. Systems blinked. Comms went dead. And then, the alien. Ships stopped moving. Not destroyed, not damaged, just frozen, like toys whose batteries had died. Inside the Virex command ship, panic spread. What is happening? Systems failing. We are blind. The aliens looked around confused. Their tech had never failed before. Until now. Back on Earth. In Colorado, Mia Daniels watched the data roll in. She leaned forward, eyes wide. "They're down," she whispered. Jake Torres grinned. "Told you it would work." He stood up and clapped his hands together. "We just shut down an alien fleet." Mia turned to him. "Not all of them," she said, "but enough." Outside, the world was waking up. Reports flooded in from across the globe. The Virex probes hidden in forests, cities, and oceans, dead. The signals sent between ships, blocked. The alien tech that once seemed unstoppable, failing. On the news, people stared in shock. "What just happened?" one reporter asked. Another said, "Did Earth just fight back?" And in secret rooms across the planet, generals, scientists, and leaders smiled. The joke was on the Virex. The message that changed everything. Ethan Cole stood in front of the United Nations building in New York. Behind him, flags from every nation waved in the wind. Before him, a screen lit up. It showed the face of the Virex leader. Its black eyes stared into the camera. "You have made a mistake." Ethan didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled. "I think you did," he said. The alien tilted its head. "Explain." Ethan stepped closer to the screen. "You laughed at our weapons," he said. "You mocked our missiles, our lasers, our jets." He paused. "But you never asked why we built them in the first place." The alien said nothing. Ethan continued. "We built them not to hit you," he said. "We built them to learn how to aim." He pointed upward. "And now we don't need to hit you at all." The alien's face changed. Confusion, fear, realization. The Virex panic. Back in space, the Virex tried to regain control. They rebooted systems, sent emergency signals, called for help. Nothing worked. Their own ships wouldn't respond. Their comms were silent. They were stranded. Inside the command ship, voices rose. "We must retreat. We cannot call home. They have trapped us." One of the higher-ranking Virex spoke. "This is impossible," another answered. "No, it is human." The word hung in the air. Human. They had underestimated them. They had called them primitive, weak, stupid. Now those same humans had taken away their power. Without engines, without weapons, without sight. The Virex were helpless, and they knew it. Operation Trojan Sky, Phase 2. Back on Earth, the plan kept moving. Commander Helen Rowe sat in a secure room beneath the Pentagon. Across from her was General Marcus Reed. "We've got them stuck," he said. "Now what?" Helen smiled. "Now we show them who we really are." She pressed a button. On the screen, new data appeared. This is phase 2, she said. We hit them where it hurts. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Where's that? Helen pointed. Their pride. The real strike begins. The Virex had always believed they were better, smarter, stronger. Now Earth was going to prove them wrong. In orbit, more sleeper drones activated. These weren't just EMPs, they were hackers. They latched onto the Virex ships and dove deep into their systems. They copied code, broke firewalls, stole secrets, and then they did something worse than destroy. They humiliated. Suddenly, the Virex ships began broadcasting messages, not to each other, but to Earth, and not in thoughts, in sound. Laughter echoed across the sky. Virex. Laughter. But it wasn't coming from them. It was coming from their own ships. Earth had hacked their systems and turned them against themselves. Every message, every order, every word the Virex had ever sent, now played back to them over and over. Their own voices mocked them, their own commands repeated endlessly, their own secrets exposed. The Virex couldn't stop it. They tried. They fought. But it was too late. The joke was on them. A new kind of war. Down below, people watched the sky. They saw flashes of light. They heard strange sounds, and then a message appeared on every screen in the world. It was simple. Aliens laughed at our aim. Now they see what we were aiming at. People stared. Then some laughed, others cheered, some simply stood in awe. Because this wasn't war, it was revenge, and it was smart. No blood, no death, just victory. Ethan speaks again. Later that day, Ethan met with the Virex again, only this time they were not laughing, they were not calm, they were angry. You have insulted us, one said. Ethan crossed his arms. Insulted? He asked. You mocked us. You spied on us. You planned to conquer us. He stepped closer. We simply returned the favor. The Virex leader stared at him. You are not what we expected. Ethan smiled. No, he said. We're better. He turned and walked away. Behind him, the Virex said nothing, because, for the first time, they had nothing to say. The aftermath. Across the world, celebrations began. Cities lit up. People danced in the streets. Children laughed. Soldiers smiled. For the first time in history, Earth was united, not by fear, but by pride. And behind the scenes, the real work began. Mia and Jake worked non-stop. They studied Virex code. They broke encryption. They learned how the aliens thought, and they found something big. A weakness, not in their ships, in their minds. They don't expect us to be smart, Jake said. That's why we beat them. Mia nodded. They thought we'd fight like animals, she said. We fought like humans. Jake grinned. That's way scarier. In conclusion of part 3. The Virex had come to Earth thinking they were gods. They believed they were smarter, stronger, better. They laughed at humanity's weapons, at their aim, at their weakness. But they missed the truth. Humans didn't need to be strong. They needed to be clever, to plan, to wait, to strike when no one was looking. And now, the Virex knew. The joke was on them, and the punchline, Earth had already won. The Virex were still stuck. Their ships floated in silence above Earth like broken toys. They had no power, no weapons, no way to call for help. And worst of all, they had no idea what was coming next. Earth strikes back, deep beneath the surface of Nevada. A team of engineers and scientists worked nonstop. At the center of it all was Dr. Alan Pike, a man who had spent his life preparing for this moment. He stood in front of a large screen filled with data. We've got them, he said, but we can't stop now. Beside him, Commander Helen Rowe nodded. They think we're done, she said. That's exactly why we need to keep going. Alan looked at her. What's the next move? Helen smiled. We hit their real weakness. Alan raised an eyebrow. And that is? She pointed at the screen. Their pride. The hidden war. Back on Earth, the world celebrated. People danced in the streets. Flags waved. Leaders gave speeches. But behind the scenes, something far more dangerous was happening. In orbit, Earth's satellites kept working. They weren't just watching the Virex anymore. They were studying them. Every system, every signal, every weakness. And then they did something even smarter. They began copying, not just code technology. The Virex had brought advanced tech with them, things humans had never seen before. Now, Earth was learning how it worked, piece by piece. Bit by bit. Soon, Earth wouldn't just be defending itself, it would be building something new, something powerful, and the Virex wouldn't see it coming. Mia and Jake take control. In Colorado, Mia Daniels stared at her screen, lines of alien code scrolled past her eyes. Beside her, Jake Torres leaned back in his chair. I think I've got it, he said. Mia turned to him. You cracked their system? Jake grinned. Not just cracked. I'm inside. Mia raised an eyebrow. How deep? Jake tapped a few keys. A new window opened. It showed the internal layout of a Virex ship. Navigation systems, power grids, comms, everything. Mia's eyes widened. You're in full control. Jake nodded. Yup, and I know exactly what to do. He typed fast. Then from space, the Virex ships began to change. Lights flickered, doors opened, systems rebooted, but not under Virex command, under Earth's. Mia watched as one ship slowly turned, then another, then another. They don't even know what's happening, she whispered. Jake smirked. That's the point. Brof. The first blow. High above Earth, a hidden station sat in deep space. It was built by the Virex long ago, a relay point for messages across the stars. No one on Earth knew about it, until now. Using stolen Virex codes and repurposed, mining lasers from the moon, Earth launched its first real attack. A signal was sent, one that looked like it came from a Virex ship. The relay station responded. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot from the moon, fast, bright, unstoppable. It hit the relay station head-on. Boom. The station exploded in a flash of fire and dust, and with it, a key line of communication between the Virex and their home world was cut. Back on Earth, Mia watched the explosion on her screen. That's one down, she said. Jake leaned back. Just a warm-up. Oh, Operation Trojan Sky, Phase 3. Inside the Pentagon, General Marcus Reed met with Helen again. This changes everything, Marcus said. It does, Helen agreed. Now the Virex can't call for help. Marcus frowned. But they're still up there. Helen nodded. That's why we need to keep moving. She pressed a button. On the screen, a new plan appeared. Operation Trojan Sky, Phase 3. Target, Virex staging zones. These were hidden points in space where the Virex kept supplies, fuel, and backup ships. Earth didn't know where they all were yet, but they were close. And once they found them, they would destroy them, all of them. Marcus looked at the map. These are their weak spots, he said. Helen nodded. If we take them out, the Virex won't just be stranded. She paused. They'll be finished. Ethan plays his part. Meanwhile, in New York, Ethan Cole prepared for another meeting with the Virex. They were angry now, confused, afraid. But Ethan wasn't worried. He walked into the alien chamber, with calm steps. Before him, the Virex leaders waited. Their black eyes stared at him. You have gone too far. Ethan smiled. Have I? The Virex commander stepped forward. You think you have won. Ethan tilted his head. I know we have. The alien's voice rose. We are not defeated. Ethan crossed his arms. No, he said. But you're not in control either. He looked around. You thought we were primitive, weak, easy to defeat. He stepped closer. But you forgot one thing. The Virex said nothing. Ethan smiled. We don't play fair. Me too. The wormhole collapse. Back in space, Earth made its next move. Using stolen Virex tech and a secret weapon developed years ago, Earth targeted a wormhole gate near Mars. This was how the Virex traveled faster than light. If it stayed open, they could bring more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. Earth couldn't let that happen. So they used a micro-singularity bomb, a tiny black hole created in a lab and stored in a magnetic field. When released, it collapsed the wormhole gate in seconds. The entire structure imploded, and with it, any hope the Virex had of calling for reinforcements. Across the galaxy, the shockwave was felt. Other Virex ships stopped, some turned back, others vanished, because now Earth wasn't just fighting, it was winning. The Virex panic. Inside the command ship, chaos spread. The gate is gone. We cannot retreat. They have taken everything. One Virex leader tried to stay calm. This is not over, another answered. Yes, it is. They looked at each other. For the first time in their history, they were beaten. Not by strength, not by numbers, by cleverness, by planning, by a species they had once called weak. And now, they had no way to escape, no way to fight back, no way to win. The final move. Back on Earth, Mia and Jake worked on one last task. They had copied enough Virex code to create a virus, one that could spread through every system, one that could shut down every ship, one that could end the war in a single click. Jake looked at Mia. You ready? He asked. Mia took a deep breath. Yes. She pressed the button, and across the sky the Virex ships blinked. Once, twice. Then, they went dark. Every system failed. Every light died. Every door sealed. And the Virex, trapped, with nowhere to go. No way to fight. No way to hide. Only one choice left. Surrender. Conclusion of Part 4. The Virex had come to Earth thinking they were unstoppable. They believed they were gods among men. They laughed at humanity's aim, at their weapons, at their weakness. But they were wrong. Earth had never aimed at their ships, never planned to fight them head-on. Instead, Earth had aimed at something bigger, their technology, their communications, their ability to escape. And now, the Virex were stranded, defeated, helpless, and for the first time in their long history, they understood what it meant to be afraid of humans. The Virex ships floated in silence. No lights, no movement, no signals. They were dead in space, trapped, helpless, and for the first time in their history, the Virex knew what it meant to be afraid. A new kind of peace. Back on Earth, the world waited. People watched the sky, waiting for something to happen. Would the aliens attack? Would they surrender? Would they try to run? But nothing came. Just silence. Inside the United Nations building in New York, Ethan Cole stood with other leaders. They talked in low voices. They're not moving, one general said. They can't, Helen Rowe replied. We've taken everything. Ethan looked out the window. We should talk to them, he said, before someone does something stupid. Helen nodded. I'll set it up. One last meeting. The meeting took place in orbit this time. Earth sent a small shuttle with Ethan, Helen, and a few others. They docked with the main Virex ship. It was dark inside. Lights flickered. Systems groaned. The Virex were waiting. Their leader stood tall even though he had lost. His black eyes met Ethan's. You have won. Ethan stepped forward. No, he said. We just showed you what we could do. The alien tilted its head. What do you want? Ethan smiled. That depends, he said. What are you willing to give? Turkey, the terms of surrender. The talks lasted hours. Earth laid out the rules. The Virex would leave, not just now, forever. They would take no weapons, no tech, no prisoners. They would go back to where they came from, and they would tell their kind one thing. Earth is not weak. Earth is not helpless. Earth is not yours. The Virex leader did not like the terms. This is not fair. Ethan crossed his arms. You came here thinking you could take us, he said. We're giving you a way out. The alien thought for a long time. Then finally, we agree. Leaving without honor. The Virex began to move. Slowly, the ships powered back up, not fully. Earth still controlled most systems, but enough to fly, enough to leave. Across the world, people watched as the alien fleet turned away. They didn't look majestic anymore. They looked broken, like shadows retreating into the night. In Colorado, Mia Daniels sat in front of her screen. She watched the last ship disappear into deep space. Jake. Torres leaned over her shoulder. They're really gone, he said. Mia nodded. For now. Jake raised an eyebrow. You think they'll come back? Mia didn't answer right away. I think they'll tell someone else what happened. Jake frowned. And then? Mia looked at him. Then we get ready. What comes next? Back. On Earth, the celebration started again. Cities lit up. Music played. People danced. But behind the scenes, things were changing. Governments met in secret. Scientists worked harder than ever. Military bases prepared for new threats. Because everyone knew one thing. The Virex weren't the only ones out there, there were others. And if the Virex told them about Earth, they might come looking, to test, to fight, to conquer. So Earth made a choice. We wouldn't wait. We wouldn't hide. We would prepare. And if anyone else came, we'd show them the same thing we showed the Virex, that humans don't miss twice. New jobs for old heroes. Ethan was named head of the newly formed Interstellar Defense Council. His job, keep Earth safe. From anything, anyone. He traveled across the world, meeting with leaders, soldiers, scientists. He gave speeches. He trained new diplomats. He helped build new plans. And every time he spoke, he said the same thing. We don't start wars, but we finish them. Mia and Jake were given new roles too. Mia became chief strategist for planetary defense. Her job was to find weaknesses in alien tech before they arrived. Jake ran a team of hackers who studied alien code. Together, they built something new, a system that could detect, track, and stop any threat before it reached Earth. And in quiet labs, new weapons were being built. Weapons that didn't just defend. They warned. They scared. They sent a message to the stars. Don't mess with Earth. A message to the galaxy. High above the moon, a new station was built. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a base. It was a signal. Every hour, it sent the same message to deep space. If you come here thinking us weak, know this. We don't miss twice. The message was simple. It didn't threaten war. It didn't ask for peace. It just said one thing. Earth is ready. Across the galaxy, someone would hear it. Maybe soon, maybe later. But when they did, they would know what happened to the Virex, and maybe they'd turn around before it was too late. Looking up. On a quiet night, Mia stood on the observation deck of a lunar base. She looked up at the stars. They seemed closer now, like eyes watching, waiting. Jake walked up beside her. You okay? He asked. Mia nodded. I was just thinking, she said. About what? She pointed at the sky. About what comes next. Jake followed her gaze. You think someone else is coming? Mia smiled. Maybe. Jake looked at her. And if they do? Mia didn't hesitate. We show them what we showed the Virex. Jake grinned. The joke's on them. Mia nodded. Always. Bow. Conclusion of Part 3. The Virex left Earth behind. They went back to where they came from, but they didn't carry stories of weakness. They carried warnings. Humans are not easy prey. They learn fast. They plan better. And they never forget. The galaxy may not know it yet, but Earth has changed. We are not just a planet. We are a power, a force, a species that doesn't just survive, we win. And if anyone else wants to test us, they'll find out the same thing the Virex did. Our aim was never on them. It was always on victory. The Virex were gone. Their ships had vanished into deep space, leaving behind only silence. Earth watched them go. Not with fear, not with hate, but with understanding. We had won, not by force, not by luck, by planning, by thinking, by aiming not at their ships, but at victory. A world that changed. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. People went back to work, kids went to school, cities buzzed again. But something was different. Everyone looked up more often, to the sky, to the stars. Because now we knew. We weren't alone, and we never would be again. In every country, governments met behind closed doors. They talked about what came next, how to protect Earth, how to prepare for others who might come, and most importantly, how to make sure no one ever underestimated us again. Ethan's new job. Ethan Cole stood in front of a large window inside the new Interstellar Defense Council building. It overlooked the ocean, peaceful, quiet. But inside, things were moving fast. He had been named head of the council, a job that didn't exist before the Virex came. His role? Keep Earth safe from anything, anyone. He walked into a meeting room where leaders from around the world waited. "We can't let this happen again," he said. General Marcus Reed nodded. "They thought we were weak," he said. "We proved them wrong." Ethan looked around the table. "But someone else will come." There was silence. Then Commander Helen Rose spoke. "We're ready," she said. "We've already started." She pressed a button. On the screen, a map appeared. Red dots marked places across the globe, space bases, defense stations, hidden weapons, new satellites, all built in secret, all aimed at the sky. Ethan smiled. "Good," he said. "Let them come." Mia and Jake keep watching. In Colorado, Mia Daniels sat in front of her screen. Data scrolled past her eyes. Every signal, every movement, every strange reading from space. She wasn't just watching anymore. She was waiting. Beside her, Jake Torres leaned back in his chair. "You think they told someone?" he asked. Mia didn't look away from the screen. "I know they did." Jake frowned. "And if someone comes?" Mia finally turned to him. "Then what we showed the Virex." Jake grinned. "The joke's on them." Mia nodded. "Always." She looked back at the data. Then she paused. Her eyes narrowed. Something new had appeared. A signal. Weak. Far away. But it was there. She tapped a few keys. The signal came into focus. It was not from the Virex. It was something else. Something bigger. Jake saw her face change. "What is it?" he asked. Mia whispered the words. "They're not the only ones out there. We know." The message goes out. Across the world, the message was sent. It came from a station near the moon. It repeated every hour. "If you come here thinking us weak, know this. We don't miss twice." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a fact. And somewhere out there, someone would hear it. Maybe soon, maybe later. But when they did, they would know what happened to the Virex. And maybe they'd turn around before it was too late. A look to the future. On the surface of the moon, a new base opened. It wasn't for science. It wasn't for tourism. It was for defense. Inside, soldiers trained, scientists studied alien tech, Engineers built new weapons, and high above, satellites kept watch. Earth was ready. More than ready. We were watching, waiting, learning, and we wouldn't be caught off guard again. In quiet labs, new ideas took shape. Weapons that could move faster than light, ships that could hide in plain sight. AI, that could think like humans. Planets were being scanned, moons were being tested, bases were being built, not for war, but for safety. Because now, Earth was not just a planet. We were a power, a force, a species that doesn't just survive, we win. The stars are watching. Back on Earth, Mia sat alone in her room. She stared at the night sky through her window. Stars blinked in the dark. She thought about what she had seen, about what was coming. Jake walked in quietly. "You're still looking up," he said. Mia didn't turn. "I always will." Jake sat beside her. "You think someone's coming?" Mia nodded. "Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow." She looked at him. "But someday." Jake leaned back. "Then we'll be ready." Mia smiled. "We always are." The end of one story, the start of another. The Virex had laughed at our aim. They mocked our weapons. They thought we were weak, but they were wrong. We didn't need to hit them. We needed to win, and we did. Not with brute force, not with numbers, with brains, with plans, with patience, and now we stood taller, stronger, wiser, looking up at the stars, not with fear, but with purpose. Because we knew one thing. We weren't done yet. The galaxy may not know it yet, but Earth has changed. We are not just a planet. We are a people, a species, force, and if anyone else wants to test us, they'll find out the same thing the Virex did. Our aim was never on them. It was always on victory.